Welcome to all. So today we are going to discuss about the topic object-oriented programming concept and Java versus C++ comparison. In around the world in computer programming, so lot of the language have been developed. Now we are going to discuss for the object-oriented programming concept. In this object-oriented programming concept, we have the different type of contents also available. First one, computer programming. What is computer programming? The next one, prerequisite for object-oriented programming concept. Then procedure-oriented programming, object-oriented programming. Then procedural versus object-oriented programming. Next one, program execution, object-oriented features. Then Java versus C++ comparison. Finally, we are moving for the summary concept. So these are things we are going to discuss about the object-oriented concept with procedure-oriented programming. So before go to the topic, the object-oriented programming concept, you should know about what is the use of computer programming, how we have to use for the computer programming. We know that the computer programming is the algorithm. So what is algorithm? The algorithm is the step-by-step process. Similarly, in the computer programming is a step-by-step set of instruction for the computer. So these are things very important for keyword available for the computer programming. So what is the purpose? What is the technique we are using for the programming technique using in the computer programming are to satisfy the two important points. First one, to make the language more expressive and to control complex system more easily. So this is the overall idea, overall purpose we are using for the computer programming. Now, prerequisite for the object-oriented programming. So before go to the object-oriented programming concept, you should know about some important terms or some idea of some other language. So what are the languages you know? First one, the C language, you should know about it. The C language, it has what are the data type, what are the statement, what are the looping statement, and how the function is working. Everything you should know about before go to the object-oriented programming concept. Similarly, we are moving for the familiar with operating system. Next one, familiar with the compiler, how it is working. What is the compiler then working? How the compiler is working in the C language. The same type of approach we are moving for the object-oriented programming like C++ and Java. Now, procedure approach programming is example for the C language. Now, focus is on the procedures only in C language. Similarly, all data is shared, no production, and more difficult to modify. The last one, how to manage complexity. So these are the disadvantage, or we are not aware of this procedure approach programming because we are using for the particular purpose only, the particular domain only. That's why we are moving for the object-oriented programming concept. Now, what is the procedure-oriented programming concept and how will differ from the object-oriented programming concept? So procedure-oriented programming concept, we have the three important points. First one, less complex. That is, the computer were far less complex than computer are today. Next one, the memories were smaller and the programs were much simpler. The last one, they usually executed only one program at a time. It's not simultaneously, it's not multi-threading concept. That's why we are using for the idea, we are using for procedure-oriented programming, move for the object-oriented programming. What is the object-oriented programming concept? In this object-oriented programming concept, we are using for the smaller but far more complex than early computers and execute many programs that is using for the object and the object-oriented programming to do complexity of the modern computers. So these are the things involved in the object-oriented programming. Now, what is procedure? What is object-oriented programming? So I am going to discuss one simple example. What is the difference between the procedure and object-oriented? For example, the procedure means, consider in this example is going to for the bank transaction. The procedure means we know that first one withdraw, next one the deposit, next one the transfer. So the three procedures involved in this any account, in the bank account, that is withdraw or deposit or transfer. But the same thing, we were moving for the object-oriented procedure in the bank transaction. First one the customer, next one the money, and third one the account. So these are the things involved. There is a basic difference between the procedural and object-oriented programming. So what is the idea of object-oriented programming? The idea is the data and operations are grouped together. This object-oriented programming. That is, the withdraw, deposit, and transfer. The account is grouped with the customer, money, and account. These are the things involved in the object-oriented concept. So Object-oriented programming is what? And what is the purpose? Why you are already using the object-oriented? And what is the meaning of object? Here we have the answer here. So here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 objects we have. So the number is also the object. Text is also the object. And the picture, any picture is also the object. And sound file and video is also object. So everything is the object. Now we are moving for the concept here. That is object-oriented concept. So a student, a professor, a desk, a chair, a classroom, etc. So these are the things is considered as the object. So anything is can be represented by the data as the object. So the same concept using for the object. But each and every object has the two important what? First one state, next one behavior. So what is the state? Describe the characteristics. And what is the behavior? What it can do. So this is the things very important in the object. Next one, the state of the bank account includes the account number and its current balance. So this is the example for the object-oriented concept. See example, an object, there is realization, the John's bank account example, the balance we have $5,257. So dollars figure, the object. An object-oriented programming, you have the different type of the some terminology are used in this most object-oriented programming. What is the terminologies? The object, method, instance, state, class, property, inheritance, polymorphism, and etc. So these are the things involved in the object-oriented programming. Now let's move further one by one. How we are using in this object and the class and methods and etc. Now the object-oriented programming. So consider the example. Each copy of the object from the particular class is called as instance of the object. So the instance of the object is important in the object-oriented programming. Next one. See the same one, that is the previous example is mirrored with this another example. So the class can be thought as the blueprint for the instance of the object. This is the important one. So the class is the collections of object. The object is instance of the class. So this is the things very important in the class and object. Next one, the class, the blueprint for defining a set of similar objects. Object is a class are called instance. So also the example also available. Next one. Consider the example we have, a class, the bank account, the concept. So the object may be the realization, already we discussed, the realization may be the John's bank account with the balance. Similarly for multiple objects from the same class, that is Bill's bank account and Mary's bank account. So also the bank account. So in the bank account we have the different type of the object also available. John bank account, Bill's bank account and Mary bank account with example, that is with balance. So these things involved in the object of the class. The difference between the procedural programming, a sequence of procedure, the object programming is based on sequence of objects. So listen to the example, integer mind, already we discussed in the C language, that is some three variables and A is equal to f1 of x, B is equal to f2 of x, y and C is equal to f3 of z. Similar using for integer f1 as a function, f2 as a function, f3 as a function. So this is the procedure oriented. But the same concept using for the object oriented programming using the object, so integer main, again using for the A as the class and A is the object reference variable. So based on this one, the class A and the class B, the class C using the object. So this is the main, that is the main difference between the procedural programming and object-oriented programming. Then method. So method, the object-oriented programming, one more part we have the property is the method. So method is the program that manipulates the property of an object is called method. In this example, the class is the bicycle. We have the three variables and consider one method is change, another method is change gear, another method is speed up. So these are and etc. So these are the methods are involved in this example for the class, object and method in object-oriented programming concept. In this example, so this integer is a variable integer and speed, gear, etc. This considered as the properties and again a method, a void with some method, similarly void and change here, void with speed up is considered as the methods. An example, the class is a group of objects with the same property and the same method. This is the important one. The class is the group of objects with the same property and the same method. So inheritance is another important role in this object-oriented programming concept. One class can be used to drive another inheritance. A class can be organized into hierarchy. For example, the account, the chair account and the bank account. The bank account again is split into saving account and checking account. This is the hierarchy. The first one according to this is superclass. The another two is considered as a subclass, and is the another subclass for the bank account. So this is superclass, derived class, and base class. So like that we have the different type of approach available for the inheritance in 3 levels: superclass or base class, derived class, and another derived class for the bank account. Derived class 1, derived class 2. Inheritance similarly for the generalization and specialization concept available for the inheritance. Generalization process of forming the superclass, specialization forming as a subclass. This is an example for inheritance. And different similarly we have the 3 type of the inheritance also available. First one single inheritance, and next one multiple inheritance, third one repeated inheritance. The first example, this is the single inheritance because one person, the staff, manager and sales. The sales and staff inherit from the staff and staff coming from the person. This is the single inheritance. And next one for the multiple inheritance, the sales manager may be acting as a manager and acting as the sales staff. This is the 2 properties we have. Let's consider as a multiple. And repeated means the manager sometimes acting as a staff, and similarly the sales staff is also the staff, and sales manager also manager, and sales manager also the sales staff. So this is the repeated one class. This is the repeated class. Example for the type of inheritance. And next one, the polymorphism. The polymorphism is the many form, the ability of the object to respond differently for the same person.